Hi, and thanks for joining us for Gio and Mr. Mystergio review rock and roll wrestling. I'm Gio, a lifelong fan, and before we get into it, I'd like to thank Rock and Roll Wrestling for giving this little video a little bit of a push after the last upload. I really appreciate it, and we'll also take this chance to welcome any new viewers. Thanks for joining us. There's a Facebook page that Rock and Roll Wrestling is linked, and of course, liking, subscribing, all that sort of cool stuff if you want to do it. It'd be appreciated. I'm hopeful of getting some new equipment and also being able to put a bit more polish on these videos, but time is time. We all get caught up in life, but I do hope you enjoy these videos. And also, too, I want to apologise. It's taken a little bit of time to get this one out. A few tech issues and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and I just wanted to say thank you. Yes, it's me, Mr. Mystergio, the smart half, the dark half, the half that is the main reason for all those new views, all those new clicks. It's all Mr. Mystergio, so you're very welcome. By the way, I'm wearing my Otis shirt in tribute to the great man who was unable to compete at MOhemian Rhapsody due to injury. Mr. Mystergio wishes you all the best, buddy, and can't wait to see you in the ring again. Well, you're in fine form early. Anyway, the show opened with current rock and roll champion Moses out on the microphone. He ran down the crowd and he got very personal with Eric Fisher, who he was fighting later on in the evening. The change in the man, the arrogance, the disdain for the fans and his fellow wrestlers is a far cry from the wholesome guy he used to be. I'm really struggling with the decline of Moses. Decline? The bloke is a champion. Did Mr. Wholesome ever win the title? I don't think so. He is well-spoken, well-dressed, and all business. He is the true epitome of what a champion should be and what a champion should look like. He's also displaying a real ability to get into his opponent's head, giving him an advantage before the bell even rings. More Moses, please. After he finished his promo, he introduced Michael Spencer, a guy that has all the tools but seems to have a questionable attitude. He came out and immediately started pouring scorn on the fans. He was cut off, though, by the debuting Tuckman. What energy this guy has. He came out, ran through the fans, getting the crowd fired up before the match even began. In the ring, he began strongly before the more experienced Spencer took control of his arm. He was working over the arm, and it looked like he was going to eventually be able to overpower Tuckman with his experience and ring savvy. But credit to Tuckman. He fought back, fought through the pain, and was even able to pick up the win with a full Nelson sit-down bomb. An impressive debut in rock and roll wrestling for the Tuckman. I don't know about an impressive debut. I think this was more a case of an experienced veteran just maybe letting his concentration slip just for a second. And Spencer wins this match 99 times out of 100. But seriously, this Tuckman guy? Pirate Life? Of all the beers in the world, he's got Pirate Life and no shoes? Maybe if he spent less money on terrible beers, he could afford something to cover his smelly feet. Well, it seems to work for him, so good on him. Anyway, on to the next match. We had Morgan Rose against the ever-popular Bachelor. This was a really even match. The Bachelor is fresh off an impressive performance against Lee Morrow, and Morgan Rose is always a fierce competitor. The Bachelor had the upper hand for a lot of the match, including holding Morgan Rose in a full Nelson and marching him around ringside, offering the fans a chance to slap Morgan Rose. And what we got to see was maybe the weakest punch ever in history thrown by Mr. Mystergio. But the Bachelor made an error. He was going for a figure four leg lock, and that gave Morgan Rose the opportunity to wrap him up for a small package, and Rose picked up an unlikely win. Unlikely win? I've been saying for weeks now that Morgan Rose was one switch of luck away from picking up a huge victory, and here it is. The Bachelor got cocky, and it serves him right. And the punch? I was just showing a friend of mine who hasn't seen AEW before how bad Kenny Omega's punches are. There, that ought to get the basement dwellers upset. You've just got to try and stir things up, don't you? People can like whoever they like, whatever they like. We're not here to judge that. But yeah, we've got all these new viewers, so, and you've just got to try and stir them up, don't you? Anyway, on to the next match. It was a triple threat match for the newly reactivated Rock and Roll Tag Team Championship. We had Hunter Hayes and Jay Sorbet versus the tradies Lockie and Dicko and the original Greasers, accompanied by Flame. This was a chaotic match as you'd expect a triple threat tag team match to be, with fast-paced action all the way. Plenty of big moves as all three teams strived hard to grab the gold. But in the end, the conniving Moses came out and caused a huge distraction. In the commotion, the title belts ended up in the Greasers' hands and they used them as weapons, hit their finish, and the Greasers are the new Rock and Roll Wrestling Tag Team Champions. Stop trying to discredit this win. The Greasers are the most experienced, most refined team in rock and roll wrestling. Tag team wrestling can be chaotic, and to be able to use the chaos to their advantage is what makes them such an elite team. I look forward to a highly successful reign. Hayes and Sorbet and the tradies didn't really stand a chance at all against this elite. Well, I was going to say a duo, but with Flame in the corner, it's a triumphant trio, and they're going to hold those belts for a long time. Well, hearing you squeal like a kid on Christmas morning when you realised your favourite tag team had won the championships was really something. But there was something else that was really something, and in a good way. During the intermission, following on from the Wrestling for a Cause event that was the last event Rock and Roll Wrestling held, Dicko came out and in the centre of the ring, pulled out the big mat. The tradie got the clippers, and Dicko shaved his head to raise money for the Purcell family. He managed to raise another $1,200, so all we can say is good on you, Dicko. Then we were back to the action. It was Hydro up against K.E. Prince. Prince was out first and he wasted no time getting stuck into the crowd. Hydro came out, nut-bushing his way through the crowd, having a heap of fun. When he eventually made his way into the ring, it was fair to say it was a pretty one-sided contest. Prince was essentially dominating Hydro, but Prince let the crowd get under his skin, especially this group of kids that were sitting right behind us. He stole Hydro's water bottle, he took a mouthful, and then he decided to try and spurt it all over the kids, and he ended up getting us mostly. But yeah, this would be his undoing as a distracted Prince was hit by the stunner by Hydro. As the stunner hit, the water sprayed out of his mouth, and Hydro picked up the pin. Hydro started nut-bushing again to celebrate, and then his theme switched to Simply the Best, and the crowd sang along in memoriam for the great late Tina Turner. Fun? You call that fun? Those kids. Prince was right. They obviously weren't taught any manners, as Prince said to them. I blame them for Prince's loss here. And that brings me to another incident in the crowd. Someone who I know watches this show and was in attendance. He called Prince a malacca. Prince asked who said that, and this person pointed at me and said it was me. I sat there and copped Prince's vitriol for it, because unlike the person that actually said it, I have intestinal fortitude. But really, I am the greatest journalist in pro wrestling, the greatest mind in pro wrestling. I make people like Dave Meltzer look like amateur hour. And you want to try to embarrass me in front of Prince like this by saying I called him a malacca? You better just watch yourself, because it might be tomorrow. It might be next week. It might be next year, but I'll get you back. I'll embarrass you in front of the entire rock and roll audience, the locker room, anyone who comes across these videos. So just think carefully next time you pull a stunt like this, because your day is coming. Gee, I thought it was just a bit of crowd fun, but, you know, whatever. Sounds like Mr. Mystergio's on the warpath. But then it was time for our main event. Champion Moses against Eric Fisher. This was another even to and fro match that went in Moses' favour for a while, Fisher's favour for a while, with plenty of near falls, as both guys fought for the ultimate prize in rock and roll wrestling. This led to a frustrated Moses eventually grabbing a chair, and as the referee tried to take the chair off him, in the commotion, the ref got actually KO'd by the chair. In all this kerfuffle, Fisher actually got Moses covered, and not just for a 3 count. The ref could have counted for 20, and Moses wouldn't have got up, but there was no ref to actually count the pin. A dejected Fisher then went to try and revive the official, and this gave Moses an opportunity to hit his torture rack neck breaker and cover Fisher for 3, hence retaining his title. He then decided to insult not just Hunter Hayes, but his family as well. An enraged Hunter flew into the ring and absolutely levelled Moses to the cheers of the crowd. Moses should have lost the match by disqualification. Fisher had him pinned easily, but Moses still managed to squeak through. But I think he's jumped the shark here by getting personal with Hunter Hayes, and it wouldn't be surprised to see if Moses' title reign days are actually really numbered now until Hunter gets his hands on him. Okay, first of all, let's deal with this match. Yes, Fisher did okay for himself, but once again, Moses showed how intellectually superior he is to these clowns. He made the whole referee incident look like an accident, and he probably just lay there while Fisher had him covered to get his breath back, because he knew there was no ref to count the pin. He is technically, athletically, and intellectually a level above this roster, and it's there for all to see. And you said he poked the bear. He's already started beating Hunter. Again, he's got inside Hunter's head, and although Hunter overpowered him in the post-match conflict, Moses has already got him right where he wants him. Off balance, not thinking clearly, letting his emotions get the best of him. It's advantage Moses, like it or not. Okay, well, in my opinion, I think Hunter's going to rip that stupid moustache straight off Moses' face, but we'll see. The next show is scheduled for July 15, but as always, gang, the Rock and Roll Wrestling Facebook page is linked below. Check it out to stay tuned to all the updates. And once again, we thank all you guys for watching, especially the new viewers. And we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Catch ya.